Is the points and miles game dead? I mean, are the devaluations just making it where it's impossible to find good values? You know, we can never ever seem to find good award space anymore. And they're taking away benefits. Annual fees are soaring through the roof, and our cards just aren't as valuable as they used to be. It's huge news. It's such a bad devaluation. The sky is falling, and on and on and on. I mean, we hear this all the time. It seems like bad news is everywhere. Well, really, in every form of media, but even in our beloved hobby of points and miles and credit card values. And I want to tell you that I'm going to take a divergent view today because I just don't see that everything's bad in points and miles. I don't see that it's always getting worse and it's going to continue to down the slide. And I just don't think the doom and gloom message is accurate when you look back with an honest view and look at the things that have happened in the last year. So I'm going to go through, and this is just kind of a video for fun and just because it's something that matters to me, but I'm going to go back through and talk about some of the great things that have happened in points and miles and why in some ways the game is better than it ever was before. So if you would, hit the like and subscribe button and let's go through a little bit of optimism today. Now, there can be no doubt there are some people who are probably watching this video now and they're irritated because they don't like the Hyatt devaluation. I get it. I understand. That was a devaluation. That wasn't good. They don't like that Air France or the British Airways or any of the others have raised award fees and limited some of the availability of finding saver awards. I get it. None of those things are good. I'm not trying to suggest to you that all is good in the points and miles hobby. What I am trying to suggest to you that it's not all bad in the points and miles hobby. Because when you look back, yes, there have been some major devaluations, major changes, major negatives in the last year. But there have also been, and I'm not ashamed to say it, major positives in the last year. So these aren't in any particular order. These are just things that popped in my mind as I was thinking about this last 12-month period. Because what can sometimes happen is we don't look at it over a period of time, and we just look at it for the last maybe month or 2 months or whatever it may be, and we don't think about, well, yeah, this is bad, but that's really good. And yes, this is negative, but wow, I'm sure glad, and I'm used to this now, and this is something that I really benefit from. So it's just kind of to counterbalance all the negative. So what are some of the great things that have happened? Well, there have been some little things, right? Things that aren't a big deal. But overall, they're a net positive. Like, for instance, Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo doesn't have the best ecosystem because they don't have a lot of transfer partners, right? But they are slowly adding transfer partners. And here's the thing that kind of flies under the radar. And it flies under the radar for me because I'm not a big spend my points on hotels kind of person. But Wells Fargo has 1-2 to both of their hotel partners. 1-2 to both of them. And that means you can get really good value. Now, you may not want to stay in a Choice hotel. You might not want to stay in a Wyndham. But nobody can argue that's a good positive change. A small one, but a good positive change. Then you've got things like the recent revamp of the Chase Sapphire Preferred. Now, I know there are some people that think that is the worst thing ever because they did devalue your points transfers to Hyatt. And I get it. If you just love Chase because of Hyatt, not good. But overall, if you just reflect on it, they didn't raise the annual fee. How long has it been since we had an annual fee card, especially an extremely popular annual fee card, that they didn't raise the fee? How long has that been? But they didn't. It's been that same fee for years and years when many of their competitors are either raising fees or they're considering raising fees, and they didn't. That is such a positive. Then they doubled the credit you get back on your hotel credit. That's really good. Then they added a 3x gas and EV charging category. Then they added better travel protections. And yes, there is the negative of Hyatt now transfers 4-3 instead of 1-1. But still, overall, for even people that are Hyatt people would have to say, honestly, for the non-Hyatt people who use it for, say, airline points, it got better. It got a lot better. That's a positive. Now, people are going to, of course, say, well, yes, but look at what they did when they took away the 1.5 and the 1.25 in the travel portal. That's true. There are negatives. But I'm saying it's not all negative. Another easily overlooked positive that recently happened was United went through a kind of an overhaul and a change, and they made it where, and a lot of people focused on the negatives there. You know, there's, wow, if you travel on United and you don't have a card and you don't have any status, you're getting less points and all these things that were true of that refresh. But what I have found is if you do have a United credit card, and all these places want you to have their credit card, their co-branded card, if you do have a United credit card, United's awards have gotten cheaper. They're less. So you used to have a Saver award for $88,000 in business class. Now, if you have a card, it's $80,000. That's a significant savings. If it used to be $80,000, now it's $72,000. If it used to be $30,000, now it's $27,000. Well, that is, rather than a devaluation, that's an acceleration of the value of your points. And it just kind of flew under the radar. Now, I'm not big on United points either, but it is a positive that needs to be noted. There's another one that came out. Some of the cards that have come out are really good. Like, for instance, the Atmos Summit card. Alaska has some super valuable points, and they came out with a new credit card that is absolutely mind-blowing and so different than any of the other airline cards. The Atmos Summit, it's $395 a year, but it gives some really different, cool, innovative perks. Like, for instance, it gives a $25K certificate that can be used even when you're booking the first person with points. That is so different than everybody else, and it can even be used on partner awards. How different is that? The multipliers, they give a 3x multiplier on all foreign spending on super valuable points. That was a powerfully positive change and innovation that took place within the last year. Then we had some really big positive changes. Citibank, who is one of the big banks that had a lot of cards being issued, they added American Airlines, some of the most valuable points ever to fly on. And they added them as a 1-to-1 transfer partner, even on their $95 card. Wow. And, you know, we were worried that American would devalue a lot of their, and they have maybe some of them, but overall, there's still really, really strong value with American points. And now so many more people have access to those points. And now it's just like it's always been there. We just expect it to be that way. But it wasn't that way over a year ago. That is new. And it was super, super positive. And then probably the most positive of all, Bilt did their 2.0 change. And I know there are people who love Bilt and there are people who don't. But here's the truth. Bilt changed the credit card landscape permanently. Now, that doesn't mean they've got enough customers to have impacted everybody. But who else can you, I mean, right now, if you like Chase, if you like American Express, if you like Wells Fargo, whoever you like, who else can you pay your rent or mortgage with and not have a fee and get points on it? I mean, nobody else. That is so innovative and different. Now, this largest expense we have can be monetized for points. It's awesome. Then you have the multipliers on their Palladium card. It's 2x, and then you can use the Bilt Cash. And I know it's a weird system, but you can use the Bilt Cash, and you can get well over 3x on a catch-all credit card. That was unheard of on a points credit card over a year ago. Unheard of. And I don't even think people who are making predictions would have ever predicted it would come true. Now, there have got to be more. And if you believe that I've missed one, you're probably right. So put it down in the comments below. If you think that these things don't offset the negatives, I'm fine with hearing that below as well. But I do believe that we need to counterbalance all of the negative, and because there are negatives and those reports are true, but there's a lot of positives too. And so I'm not sure we don't live right now in the golden age of points and miles, and that moving forward, there will be negatives that happen, but there's going to be positives that happen too. All right, thanks for being here. Please hit the like and subscribe button. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll see you here next time.